and then they kind of don't have a lot on it, okay? Because they're scared. They're like, I don't want to redo mine. This is it. But then I think you miss a lot of important information. You can later compress it, right, and fit more in, okay? Don't use more than half a page for this unit, right? That's going to be too much. Okay, so fuel economy, on Friday or previous lesson, we learned how to just simply calculate it. Liters, distance, times 100, and we make sure we have liters per 100 kilometers. Once you have the fuel economy, that's gold, okay? Then you can answer a whole bunch of questions. I can ask you how many liters you will need for a certain trip, or I can ask you what the distance you can travel with a certain amount of liters in the tank, right? So I can ask you both questions, which we did on the previous lesson, right? So how much fuel do you need for a 1,500 kilometer drive? We set up our fuel economy. We lined up the distances, and we solved for the number of liters. Another question asked you, hey, if you have 70 liters, how far can you drive, right? You set up your fuel economy, 70 liters goes on top because liters are at the top on that side, cross multiply and divide, and you are good to go, okay? Now, let's do another example. I'm going to add a twist to this one. I'm going to add something here because they did that one year, and I think it's worth it. So instead of having, this one has an odometer. Odometer is where you see the mileage of the car, and it tells you how many kilometers the car has traveled. Someone fills the tank at this distance and then drives around, and then it reads this when the gas light comes on again. In other words, you're fueling it up at that point. I'm going to say, instead of writing it like this, I would like you to just say, a car normally will have like a 0 in front. And that threw some students off, I don't know, a year or two ago. I just don't want you to worry about it. When there's a 0 in front, that's normal, okay? Like this is what your odometer would probably show you. It's just a car that doesn't have that many miles yet or kilometers yet. So calculate Julia's fuel economy if she fueled up 45 liters. So here's your formula one more time. It's liters divided by distance times 100, okay? And this is gonna look a little weird, but we know that it's 45 liters. And in the denominator, I'm gonna subtract these two numbers because I wanna figure out how much went from here to here.
Can I please get a custodian to the elevator downstairs? Custodian to the elevator downstairs, please, thank you.
So don't let that scare you, right? I'm just subtracting, and then I multiply it by 100 when it's all said and done. I'm going to continue my work here. It's 45 liters divided by, if I subtract these two, I get 345.8 kilometers. And if you do that, you get 13.01 liters per 100 kilometers. Other factors that affect your fuel economy would be weight, right? Are you fully loaded going to a camping trip or towing something? And that would be on top. Calculate the total cost of fuel if it costs $1.209 per liter. So cost would simply be the amount of liters that you've used. In this case, we're told is 45, and we multiply it by the price per liter, just like that, never add taxes because your fuel price has all taxes already included. It's taxed very differently than items you purchase in the store. Okay, so you multiply that, and you get 54.41 in that case. Try examples 3 and 4. See if you can make that work. I'll give you the answers so you can check whether or not you're on the right track. We good? Okay. I'm just going to go over it because I have more stuff that I want to go and cover. Fuel economy is given, right? No need to calculate it. We want to know the cost of fuel if the fuel costs this much. Well, first of all, we need fuel. We need to know how much fuel. How much fuel is required. So we use our fuel economy for this. If we're traveling 375 kilometers, we can find out how many liters it is that we need. Cross multiply and divide. That's not showing work. This is showing work. You get 46.125. Don't round just yet, okay? You're not done yet. That's how many liters you need. Also, can I just say, don't copy this part down, but please don't do one of these. Like set up your proportion, just put the answer. That's not correct. It's actually not correct. X is this, but not the whole thing. Okay, so just refrain, just go one line after the other and you'll be fine. So the cost is 46.125 times 1.209. You multiply that, and of course you round to 2 decimals at this point, and you have 55.77. Okay. The next one, I think, it's a repeat already, right? If you have 32 liters, how much did you travel? Right? You cross, multiply, and divide this way. You're going to get 351.65. In this case, it's okay to go equals right next to it. It is actually accurate to say it, okay? But it doesn't hurt to go x is equal to, like, just go underneath if you're not absolutely sure. There are some formulas there at the bottom box. If they help you, then of course you can use them. At this point, I would say I'm not going to ask you to try a whole bunch. I think 70. Not yet. Just hold on. I'm going to do. I made a mistake on that one before. So paved city. Yeah. Oh no. Let's go to 70. On page 70, question 6, I need to make a correction on that one. I thought I have made a correction, but it's on my Word document, not on the PDF. So a pickup truck uses this many kilometers for 11 liters. On a highway, the truck is only able to travel 75 kilometers on the same amount of gas when driven in the city. Determine the economy of the truck on the highway. So we're going to call this highway. Okay. Determine the fuel economy of the truck in the city. And then I want you to figure out the difference in liters per 100 kilometers. Difference means subtract, right? How much is there a difference? I want you to try 6, like question 6. Okay, question 6, and I want you to try on page 71. I want you to try question 2 on page 71. However, this is the twist, okay? When you calculate this, I'm going to give you a template on the side. I want you to figure out the subtotal. I want to know what the RST is separately, the GST separately, and then the total. So if you want to use this template, do the work somewhere else. What's RST percentage-wise? 7. GST is 5%. So you figure out the subtotal by doing some work with this table, then figure out the RST, figure out the GST, then you add up these 3 together to get your total. So question 6 on page 70, question 2 on page 71, all right? So let's go ahead and do that. And I'll give you the answers as well. And don't let me stop you if you want to keep going. Let's go through this. I'm just going to go through this one in particular here. I made a mistake on this because I didn't read it correctly. So I will call this $18 each. So 2 times 18 is 36. 5 liters times 4. I wish that's not true anymore. $20 for the filter. 4 times 150, that's 600. 3.5 times 95, that would be 332.50. I will tell you something that on the exam, if they have a table and they want you to fill in the blanks on the table, make sure every single one has a dollar sign. If all they ask for is like the final answer, then you don't need to worry about dollar signs along the way. But if it's a table, I would strongly recommend dollar sign, dollar sign, dollar sign everywhere, okay? Now, if you add up all of these, you get 1,008.50. And again, make sure that you don't just go 0.5, you're gonna lose half a mark, you gotta go 50, okay? To calculate the GST, I basically just multiply my previous answer by 0.07, and I get $70.60, okay? Then you clear your screen or do whatever you need to do. 1,008, you multiply that by 0.05 to get your GST. And then at the very end, you add up your subtotal, your PST or RST, and the GST, and you get your final answer, which is 1129.53. Okay, so there have been instances where they want you to break down. It's almost like an invoice that you're filling in. So be prepared for something like that. All right? We're good? Okay, let's go back a little bit. Page 68. And so if the province or myself, if we ask you what are some operating costs, we expect you to be able to give us a couple. Oh, here's my highlighter. So make sure you know your operating costs, right? And some examples. Have some unique examples on your study sheet, like write down operating costs, like what it takes to run a car. And you can talk about, paying for brake inspections, oil changes, tire rotations. Do you know what tire rotation is? Anybody? It's not just spinning the tires. That's not. It is. Well, I'm just going to explain that here. So imagine these are your tires. This is the front. This is the rear. So every shop does it differently, but basically what they will do is they will take the front tire and put it in the back. Take this one, put it over here at the back, and move the rear ones to the front. So every year you repeat that, okay? I do it once a year, okay? Why would you want to do that is to make sure that they wear out evenly, okay? Because if you have a front wheel drive car, you spin a lot more, right? It will actually lose more of the meat, more of the rubber as you drive. So if you keep it where it is, the front ones will wear out, the rear ones won't, but you'll be forced to buy new tires, okay? So you actually will spend more money if you don't rotate. So if you do this every year, then they wear out evenly, so now you extend the life of all of the tires by doing that, okay? Fuel filter replacement, oil filter replacement, coolant flush. You should be doing that about every 80,000 to 100,000 kilometers. The coolant is what cools the engine, right? You can do that. Wheel alignment. If you do any work to the front of your car, to the tires, to any shocks or anything like that, you should be aligning it again, because even if you're off by a little bit, it can cause the tires to wear out unevenly. Rust proofing, I do that to my cars every year. I spray it with lanolin. It's actually from sheep wool. It smells like sheep. I smell like sheep when I'm done. Okay, I probably have to sleep outside for a couple of nights after that because otherwise, but it actually protects your car from rust. So I have a thin little hose, and I'm just under the car, and every nook and cranny, I just insert that hose and I spray it in there, and it prevents rust. You can pay for it, somebody else to do it, but I would strongly recommend you do that. Wiper replacement, right? Wiper blades, air filter, battery, cabin filter, you name it. Those are all operating costs. And I will add something to here. It costs approximately $0.15 per kilometer to operate vehicle. So if you take into account the oil changes, all the maintenance items, it costs about 15 cents per kilometer to run your car, okay? So sometimes there have been questions where a price comes up, sometimes it's 16, sometimes it's 17, it depends on the car. And they will say so-and-so drove 3,000 kilometers last year, okay? What was the operating cost? You just multiply it by the distance driven, and you've got your answer there. So keep that in mind if it ever shows up. Okay, I'm gonna stop here.